this is Ree here. Thank you so much for joining me. I really appreciate all of you. All thanks to Kali Ma. Thank you so much for liking and subscribing. It really helps me a lot. Don't forget to check out my website, paradoxastrology.com. Book your consultation today. I can help you with anything. And if you would like more exclusive occult videos that I don't post on YouTube, consider subscribing to my Patreon. It also helps to support this channel. Okay, let's get into this video. So this is about the month of April 2024. Let's get into it. Now, this is going to be a very eventful month because we have the eclipse, and this eclipse is going to be a lot more eventful than the previous one, even though we're still feeling the energy from the previous one. I'll have a whole separate video about the eclipse and most of the transits. I'll have separate videos for as well. So this is just like a small breakdown of what will happen. Now, it will start off with Saturn is going to move into Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra, and this is going to change a lot of things. Now, this will be on April 6th, and it will be there until October 3rd when it retrogrades back into Shabahista, and then it's going to go back into there on December 27th. And I'll have an entire video about that, but just a little bit about that is that we're going to have some harsh realities for the masses about health and the death rate. Saturn will be nearing an exact conjunction with Mars, which will be highlighted during the eclipse on April 8th. Now, the exact conjunction will happen around April 10th. So from April 6th to April 9th, we'll have a lot of events occur. And also because we have Mercury will be at the Gandanta point in Ashwini Nakshatra. So this is a crisis point. So Ashwini is all about healers, physicians, and all types of healing professions. So that could even be physicians, therapists, counselors, psychotherapists, surgeons, and those who administer drugs. So a crisis is at hand, and Mercury is health as well. Aquarius is the masses, it's society, it's social affairs, it's also rebellion. And when we have Mars and Saturn conjunct, and Mars is also aspecting Ketu by the 8th aspect, this can show that the masses here are rebelling, which can lead to violence and even death. Saturn here is showing someone who is two-faced. Saturn is also civil servants, and Mars is the general, it's the soldier. So the police may also be involved in this. This aspect of Ketu can create terrorist attacks at the worst, but violent activities. And Purva Bhadrapada Nakshatra is the front part of the funeral cot, so it denotes our exit from this world. It has a lot to do with death. This is also why you're seeing in the news that they're all preparing for this eclipse, because they see what's about to happen. The masses are going to rebel, and there are going to be some type of attacks. Now, before April 10th, Mars will be in Shabahista, which is all about health and physicians, the stars, space, and the stage. This could possibly be a rocket or something to do with space travel that crashes, and possibly can be a death as well, because Mars will be in Shabahista and then Saturn in Purva Bhadrapada conjunct. So death and then the stars. There could also be a health scare, or the masses could be very angry at physicians for what they discovered from the previous pandemic, or maybe new information comes out, something that was hidden. After April 10th, they both meet in Purva Bhadrapada in the first pada, which is ruled by Mars. So extreme anger and violence will occur. And on top of that, aspecting Ketu and Hasta. And Hasta is those who work with their hands, like anybody. So it's a wide variety of different types of people. This could be tradesmen, mechanics, anyone in the beauty industry, all the way to the stock market. And with the stock market, there's a potential downturn that could happen. Layoffs, strikes, endings in these areas, and people were not prepared. On April 13th until the 14th, Saturn-Mars conjunction will be aspecting Sun. And this can involve the leaders, and possibly a death of a leader can occur, or anger towards a leader, violence towards the leaders, and health matters. And these health matters can include cancer, the masses being angry at the leaders with violence and turn on them. With this eclipse, we have Rahu in the sun because it's a solar eclipse. So the leaders, they'll lose a lot of power as Rahu will take over, but they can become more Rahu-like, more self-centered, more after their own goals, rather than helping the masses. These actions can include fundamentalists, radicals, fanatics, and terrorists, like I said, very possible. Many deaths can happen from an incident with fires and explosions. I'm going to talk more about that in a separate video, but we'll just continue on. Then on April 8th, we have the eclipse that will be happening in Pisces. Now, Pisces is boats, like we saw with the US Baltimore crash. It's the water. Rahu is electricity. So unexpected events with all of these. This is why we saw that, but there could be more. With Venus and Rahu in Pisces, this can create cheaters, frauds, romance scammers, charities lacking integrity like fraudsters. This is also isolated places like imprisonment. It is those in entertainment. That's why we're seeing a lot of news about people in entertainment. This is also human trafficking, prostitution. With Rahu here, we are also seeing more people join OnlyFans, which is considered prostitution, and crime and overdoses can occur as well. A lot of the dark side of the entertainment industry will come out, and I'm going to talk about that in my Saturn video, but just to let you know that there's a reason that's coming out now. So Pisces is about transcending the world, and this can be whether that's with psychedelics or drugs. That could be with spirituality, spiritual awakenings, kundalini awakenings. With Rahu here, it's also AI, creating a new world with technology so that people can escape. And also technologies like Neuralink, which people will take to try to escape normal reality to go to the other side, but it's not going to be what they expected. Do not do that. Just don't do that. You can awaken your brain in so many other ways, and you don't need a machine, because ultimately you're going to end up being controlled. It's a trap. Now, weather disasters also are very possible with water and fire. This eclipse is in Revati. Revati means wealth, so it's mostly about wealth of knowledge, as it is the final enlightenment, and it's the final stage before transcendence, before death. So it's in between worlds. It's a final nakshatra, so depending on which system you use. It can also be about material wealth. It's the lighthouse that points us to the right direction. It's like the shepherd attending to the flock and caring for those who follow them. The main symbol is a fish swimming in the sea, and also a drum. And the drum is a type of drum that you play when you're bringing news to others. So a lot of new news will pop up, new information will pop up, because this is also ruled by Mercury. This helps us find all paths, all kinds of different paths, whether it's just a path to your home or a path to your life, your journey, where you need to go. So it's very important that you find your path this year, and this will highlight it for a lot of people. And this is the year of Saturn. So the path you take will be more important than ever, because it's going to determine your karma. And this eclipse also is very important because it is also the chart for the new year, the actual real new year. And so this chart with this eclipse is actually the chart for the events of the new year as well. And I'll have a separate video about that. So will you take the right path is the question this year. It can also bring a sense of deluded fantasies where you can be led astray. That's why the romance scammers come into play. It is very important that you see things the way they are, and to see through the illusion so that we don't get off of our path. We can tend to project ourselves onto others, so it's very important not to do that, or to be overly optimistic. We have to have a sense of reality as well. But that reality will come when Saturn moves into Purva Bhadrapada on April 6th, which is ruled by Jupiter. So that will give us more of a sense of reality. And this will cause a mass awakening for many. And those who are not ready, those who reside in the lower chakras and not in the higher chakras, who are trapped in desire and materialism, some will end up leaving the earth because they're just not ready for that awakening. Revati is ruled by Mercury, like I explained, and Mercury will be at the Gandanta point in retrograde in Ashwini. Ashwini is ruled by the divine celestial healers. So Aries is showing us that something new may pop up with health. And this is also transport. This is athletes, buildings, engineering, and structures may collapse. This is also gambling. All kinds of business activities on the material plane, as well as other planes of existence. So trade and wealth can be affected. especially because we have Saturn-Mars conjunction in the 12th house from Pisces, which is losses and endings. This is the second house lord conjunct the lord of the 12th house, losses in material wealth and losses of family as well, material possessions. Mars will be aspecting K2, which can cause, at the worst, like I said, the terrorist attacks, fires, accidents, death. And on a positive note, though, this can be money obtained from spiritual practices. This could be you attracting it because of your spiritual practices, or it can also be businesses that are involved in spiritual practices like astrology, tarot, psychic, that end up being very profitable this year. So I want to mention something. This is the very similar eclipse to the one that happened on April 14th in 2005. So think about the events that happened in your life in 2005. A lot of these are going to repeat, but remember, you have the ability to make different choices because we're supposed to learn from the past. And so that one happened on April 8th, 2005, and it had Rahu, Mercury, and Venus there. Very similar. But then on April 14, 2005, what happened? There was the Israel-Palestine conflict. And according to Google, it says Israel kills a member of al-Qassas Martyrs Brigade following a raid into the Palestinian town of Nablus. I'm probably pronouncing that way wrong, excuse me. But Palestinians maintain that a special unit disguised as Arabs carried out the act. What they say, we don't know if that's the truth or not. So I mentioned that because on April 8th, Saturn and Mars conjunction will conjoin Palestine's Rahu in the 7th house. And this is an open enemy attack on the homeland. This will be triggered by the March 25th eclipse, which happened, where the moon is conjunct its 10th and its 3rd house lord. And the sun is conjunct its Mars, which is its 9th house lord and its 4th house lord. So remember, when an eclipse happens, it doesn't mean that all these events happen on the day of the eclipse. It's just showing us what will potentially happen in the months to come. And there usually is a lot of action around the eclipse, yes, but this could be a little bit after that time as well. So on April 8th, this will also affect Israel as well. It's losing its identity that it once had. It's creating problems with its alliances and acting out of obsession. It signed a contract with the devil and now it's playing out its deeds. It will stop at nothing. So these events have great potential to just reoccur. The powers that be know this, and this is put in place based on astrology. Now, another thing that we have to look at, since that eclipse was very similar. Now, the 6th house lord sun is here, and K2 is in Virgo, and they're both about health. Pisces is also hospitalizations and death. Both of these signs also are about animals. Why do I say that? Because in January 2005, an outbreak of the influenza came out, which was called the bird flu. And it started in provinces in Vietnam. And then they had to kill nearly 1.2 million poultry because of this outbreak. Yeah, a lot of these things I won't get into it, but okay. Then in April 2005, after the eclipse, there was an unprecedented die-off with 6,000 birds in central China over a few months. So it continuously got worse. And then they start calling it H5N1 virus. And then it spread around the entire world. It hit Russia in August. In September, the United Nations warned that there could be an outbreak of this influenza that could kill 5 to 150 million people. And this is also run by Fauci at the same time. Then they said the outbreak could start in Africa, the Middle East, and then later in 2005, it spread to Turkey, Romania, Croatia. So this was another type of pandemic. So we have to be very cautious that what I'm seeing in health could reoccur. It may not be this exact thing, but something like this can very well occur. It should be noted that also Jupiter is about to enter the 6th house of the US chart May 1st, which could potentially expand health issues for the country. And it's also the house of war as well. So it can expand warlike activities. I forgot to mention that on April 1st, Mercury will start its retrograde. It will retrograde into Revati starting on April 9th. Then its retrograde will end on the 25th. And by May 10th, it will enter Ashwini. So when it starts its retrograde by April 9th, we're going to be revisiting the issues that we dealt with on March 15th till about March 25th. That could be reevaluating, rethinking. That could be contracts that we may have to redo. That could be any writings we may have to revisit. That could be taxes you may have to redo, or speeches or written laws. Any mercurial themes will have to be revised at that time. And then we could also see the things that we always do with Mercury retrograde, with any communications not going right, transportation, these cyber attacks, things of that nature, which I'll have a whole separate video about where I break down with a lot of detail of what's going to happen. Now, on April 22nd, Mars will go into Pisces, which will end the Saturn-Mars conjunction and K2 aspect, giving us a lot more focus inwards so we can reevaluate eternally and take action to change from the inside out. Focus on meditation and spiritual practice is necessary as accidents and unexpected events will be concluded. On April 23rd, we're going to have a full moon in Libra. Libra's arts, its law, its partnerships, its balance, it's compromise. So this is going to be in the nakshatra Shawtee, and this is striving for strength, for independence, learning to serve others without having an ego, without letting it get in the way, although it does sometimes with Shawtee, definitely. Shwatee's relation is to Saraswati, which is the goddess of music, of learning. It reveals the higher nature of this. And it's good for learning on the material plane, philosophical learning, spiritual learning. And the focus here is on material growth. This may be due to debts or conflicts, as both Rahu and Venus will be in Pisces in the 6th house. A transformation must occur. This could be due to overspending as well. And there may be some health issues and disputes in war. The entertainment industry and sports are going through a type of death, a curse it may seem, as those in the homelands are dying off and people are being exposed as being two-faced in these industries. So there's a cutting off process that relates to the destruction, as karma will set in for a lot of people in these industries. Sun will be in Ashwini, and this has us focused on health and healing. Jupiter is giving us the wisdom to do so and the ability to critically think, the knowledge of the sages, and the ability to download information from the higher planes as it enters on April 16th in Kritika. So K2 will be in Hasta, so many will be sharpening their skills, as many may have lost their jobs in the professional fields, and this perhaps due to technology, and now they're enrolled more in higher education and of something new, so that information will come. Some may feel more disconnected from the mundane world and want to retreat. On April 24th, Mercury will conjunct Rahu. At this time, Mars will be in Pisces, and Mars entered Pisces on April 22nd. So there's a lot of unexpected events that will occur. Very harsh speeches. Be very cautious of con men, of accidents while traveling. People with slick speech, be careful, especially accidents involving water, possibly fires, electrical fires, health problems, especially with cancer and skin diseases. Trade can all of a sudden see a giant leap, or it can go down very fast. On April 24th, Venus will enter Aries, and all month Venus was exalted, but now we can focus more on ourselves and starting something new rather than the compassion for the entire world and looking within. Now we have more fire to keep going and wanting to get outside more as well. The last part of the month will have to do with a lot of the professions like businessmen and tradespeople, singers, musicians, technology experts, government-related services, law, the software industry, those who work for themselves like entrepreneurs, skydivers, balloonists, educators, teachers, judges, trade union in the working class. All month is about trade union in the working class as well. And that's just to name a few. So that's what I see happening for this month, just a little bit. Make sure you look out for the rest of my videos so you get more information. I thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you in the next one.